Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to this episode of PEPTalk, Productive Environment Podcast. As you can see on the screen today, we are talking about how context, we'll explain what we mean by that. Context leads to completion. Why projects move forward when tasks stick together. So we are going to be sharing some things with you guys. Before we get started, I just want to share that, we found that most people don't really struggle because they don't know what to do. They struggle because their projects quietly stall. Okay. So they've created lists. We work with people who live with to-do lists all the time. They're making lists of lists even, right? And so they've created lists. They have perhaps even identified what the next action is, and we're going to talk about that as well. But the project itself isn't visible, and it slowly drifts back into mental clutter. So today, Barbara and I want to talk about a small but powerful shift that we teach at Productive Environment Institute. So if you are new to us, I first just want to share that I am Andrea Anderson, CEO of Productive Environment Institute. I am here in Carolina Beach, North Carolina, and I am joined by...
I'm Barbara Hemphill, founder of Productive Environment Institute in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Awesome. So again, I want you guys just to remember, let me move my notes out of the way here. I want you guys to remember context leads to completion. And so wherever you're joining us from, I would love to hear from you in the chat or the comment section. Let me remove that title here so we can talk to each other. Okay. I would love to hear from you in the chat or comment section. Do you struggle with projects? I mean, there's all kinds of project management tools. There's whole courses and programs and curriculums all about project management. And I don't know about you, but I've struggled with project management for years, where I'd get really excited and I would create a project and then I would add the tasks to my task list, and then things would eventually fall apart, right? I wouldn't be able to continue. And I love testing out new tools and technology. That's one of my passions, really. So I would try the next best tool, the next greatest thing. And then I would still have the same result. So I think we've fixed it, for us, at least for me. I found something that actually works, and we created it and made it available to you guys for anybody that's interested. It's called the SOAR board, and it solves that problem about your tasks, isolated tasks, being separate from their projects. So the concept of, quote, the next action or the next action principle actually originally came from David Allen. Okay. And you guys have probably heard of him, GTD, getting things done. So he introduced a powerful question. He was teaching about, which, Barbara, I don't even know if you know this, but a point of interest, I have never read his books. I never studied getting things done. I know we had consultants that did, and they became GTD consultants. When I found you and your methodology, that's it. Like, that worked for me. And I never went in and researched what other people were doing. But I know that the next action concept originally came from him. And then and that changed things in productivity thinking. Just naming the next physical action reduces mental clutter. Now, you have your own spin on that a little bit, and we've advanced it even further. But do you want to share your experience with that concept before we move forward?
Well, I did read David Allen. I've met David Allen. I've been on a platform with him many times, and certainly respect what he's done. He's solved problems for thousands of people. We get David Allen dropouts, however, because it's a certain way of doing it. And his question was, what is the next action? And the way we ask it is, what is your next action? And that ties into kind of our philosophy about the art of organizing and productivity. Because what David Allen says, if you do what he says, Marie Kondo's the same way. If you do what they say, it absolutely works. No question about it. But it just doesn't fit for everybody.
Yeah.
And so our philosophy is that we have to figure out what you will do. And so the question also is, what is your next action? And one of the reasons that's so powerful is it's so easy to put the blame on somebody else. It's so easy to say, I can't do that because so-and-so didn't respond. I can't do that because this didn't work. But there's always something you can do. So the question is, what is your next action?
Your next action, right? And for years, I mean, I first heard the concept of the next action, and you called it, and I was taught that the next action factor. So I didn't even know that where it originally came from before for a couple of years. and so then I've learned since then, obviously. But it makes sense. It's like, okay, what's the next action, or what's your next action? But even, so why do people still feel stuck even when they know the next step? Okay, so we're going to talk about where things break down. And what we've discovered is that it happens when tasks, to-dos, get pulled out of projects. Okay, so maybe you've got this project you've got going on. And Barbara, you've got a project coming up. You've got an event that you are hosting at the end of January. So that is about 6 weeks away, right?
Yes.
And so you've got a project, and there are all kinds of tasks and to-dos related to that project. So I can imagine in a traditional world, you would sit down and make a list of all the things you need to do. But in the middle of that list, it might be something else, like run to the bank, make a deposit, call DMV. I always use that one. Do all these other things. And so they get mixed up, really, with your other tasks, and they don't stand alone with their project. Now, if you did just create a project, let's say you opened up a Google Doc and you said, okay, here's my event. And we'll tell you about it. If you're in North Carolina, we'll tell you about the event in case you want to join us. But let's say you open up a Google Doc and you map out the project on there. Okay. Well, then what? That Google Doc is saved in Google somewhere, and you're living your life and doing your other tasks and doing things. It's kind of off by itself now. It's in a silo. So that's one of the things that happens. They land on long, disconnected to-do lists. And the outcome, and the sequence of your tasks related to that project disappear. Okay. So it's not that you don't have actions. It's that those actions are floating. They're floating around somewhere. They're floating either on a bunch of lists or in their own little compartment that you never look at again after you've taken the time to do the project. Does that make sense, Barbara?
Yeah, or in your brain because you didn't take time. I mean, that's one for me that for years, the scoreboard has solved that for me. But for years, it was like I would be driving or in the shower or cooking in the kitchen or somewhere, and I would have this idea, but I didn't capture it, and then I would lose it. And so that made a huge difference.
Yeah, exactly. So when we created the SOAR board, which let me just do a quick, I'll come back to it, but I want to just do a quick share because we talk about it a lot and some of you have never seen it. So let me just show you the SOAR board. There we go. Okay. So this is the main screen of what we call the SOAR board, and SOAR means systemize and organize with action and reference. Okay. So I actually created this tool based on Barbara's methodology. So for years and years, we focused on physical organization. So physical filing of your physical paper, right? Those are some actions over there. And then here are some reference files, things you want to keep for future reference. And we have a whole methodology on how we do it that's different than traditional organizing. But that's not for this pep talk today. But this is what the SOAR board looks like. And we have a section for projects. Okay. So I'm going to come back to that in just a minute. But let me stop sharing and come back to you guys. Stop sharing. I like to see Barbara and know that we're here. So that's a quick glimpse at the SOAR board. And so what happens is when we started, using it for capturing all our tasks and ideas and thoughts, and then we even used Barbara's 5-step productive environment process. It's a project planning framework that we use for everything. And step 4 of that is create and execute your plan. So that's where we would actually map out what the project is, what it entails, what the milestones are, what the tasks are. But then what happens? Great plan, looks good on paper, looks good even on the computer. But if there are no dates assigned to those tasks, then it just is a nice looking plan. Okay. So what we did is we added to the question, what's the next action, or what's your next action? We added, and when. When will it happen? When will you do that next action? Okay, so there's an important distinction. An action without a when is a postponed decision. So a task without a date, said in another way, is a postponed decision. And postponed decisions, we all know, if you've been around us long, you know that leads to cluttered minds and the stress of not getting things done. Okay, does that make sense? So when we work with our SOAR clients, our SOAR members, we have a program called SOAR to Success, and we all work together. Something that comes out of our mouths constantly is what's the next action and when? What's the next action and what's your next action and when? So that we don't, this is the core difference between just asking that question, what's the next action? We don't manage isolated tasks when they are part of something larger. Now, yes, you will have isolated tasks. You will have one-off tasks like go to the grocery store, pick up this, return this call. Those are fine. Those are individual. You still have to say when. What's the next action and when? But if they're part of a project, we don't want to pull them out and have them as separate tasks, because then you lose the context of the project. Okay? Does that make sense? Okay. And for us, projects live on a timeline. In the SOAR board, we have a timeline. Okay. And I'll show that to you again in a minute. But the project stays visible so that we can see it. Tasks stay together. And one action is always the next action. Okay. So just remember this: when tasks stick together, projects move forward. So let me show you again. Hold on. I'm going to take you back over to the SOAR board to do a little demo. Okay, let me read Kathy's comment first. The context is motivating because it adds to the feeling of accomplishing something bigger. Exactly. Thank you, Kathy. That's exactly what we're going for. The context is motivating. And I'm going to show you what we mean by that. So let me do share screen, SOAR board. Here we go. So I'm going to show you an example of how the project works. So under actions by project, so this could be any list. Barbara, you sent me a list of projects this morning for some things you're working on. Those will all be listed here, and they will all have their own 5 steps. Okay, the 5-step productive environment process. So you guys can see these. I'm going to actually click the bullet next to the project, so I say blow it up. You could also say zoom in. Okay. So we run all projects through our 5-step productive environment process. The first one is to state your vision. And so you list out, or you can create a paragraph, or we have a custom GPT that we use now that can help you discover what your vision is for that particular project. Okay. It's right here. I'm going to minimize that. And then you just, identify the obstacles. What has gotten in the way in the past of accomplishing that vision? Was it procrastination, not putting things away, clutter creep, etc. So you're not starting with a bunch of tasks. You're actually doing some prep work, some pre-project work. Commit your resources. How much time do you have? So an example here is about 30 minutes each week. Another resource is the SOAR board, or maybe you're doing it in a different platform, Google Docs, or your own project management platform. You have filing cabinets. ChatGPT is a great resource. Closet shelves. It could also be a person. It could be a friend that comes over and helps you with that project. Okay, so those are commit your resources. And then create and execute your plan. So for years, we would easily create the plan. We could create a plan in a heartbeat. I love creating plans. But where things were falling down was the execute. Okay, execute your plan. And that's what we're talking about today. So I'm going to come back to that one in a second. The step 5 is sustain your success. So once you have created and executed your plan, how are you going to sustain that success? So that's covered here in step 5. So for the purpose of this conversation about the next action and when, we are going to focus on step 4. Okay. And that is create and execute your plan. So I'm going to blow that up. We're going to zoom in to step 4, and you can see, now this may be, let me go ahead and minimize these so y'all aren't stressed out. You can see that there's a lot of stuff here. There's a lot of information. So what I did using our custom GPT, you can do this manually as well, is you choose your time frame and you create some milestones that fit in that time frame. So milestone 1, paper and desktop reset. So if the project is organize my office, so this is an example milestone, and I've got a time frame. I've listed what done looks like for that particular milestone. And then I've got milestone 2. I've got dates. I've listed what that looks like. What if it's done, here's what's happened. Here's what it looks and feels like. Now, these aren't tasks. These are milestones. Okay. So breaking the big project into 3 or 4 is up to you, however long your time frame is. Milestones helps break it down, right? So let's close those up and let's look at the actions now. Okay. So under milestone 1, there's a list of actions. Milestone 2, there's a list, and milestone 3, there's a list. This can be very overwhelming. It's like, oh my God, I got all these things to do. And in a traditional sense, you would just maybe have these on one long list, and it's just kind of you're checking things off, but you're missing things, and there's no context. As Kathy's comment said, the context brings you back to why you're doing it in the first place. So if you go all the way back to the state your vision, it's like, okay, here's what I'm working towards. Here's what I'm going for. Let me just stay the course. Let me keep going. And so this is the context. It's part of a big project, part of a main project. Okay. So then let's look at the actions. And in this case, this one item would be the next action. And so we are going to add one simple emoji, and it is a green dot. And that is a marker to show you what your next action is. Okay. Now, is that enough? Are we done? No. Let me come back and look at y'all. Let me look at Barbara. Okay. I want to see what y'all see because I can't see. Okay. So we're not finished there. Like that looks good. And it's like, okay, that's my next action. And then you go on about your day and you do a bunch of other things and then you forget and what's next. So what we want you to do, or what we teach you to do, is then let's go back to the main area, is to then add this project. Okay, I'm gonna give you 2 options. Add the entire project to your timeline. Okay, we have a timeline because this is the answer to the question, and when. What's the next action and when? So for this particular project, I'm going to, you guys don't have to worry about the tech of this. If you're not using Storyboard yet, don't worry about it. We would teach you that if you started doing it this way. You can do this with other things as well. So let's say I am going to start this project on Friday, December the 19th. I'm going to do a return and a tab and a paste. All right. So now the whole project is there. So on Friday, December 19th, I might have some other things. We have a SOAR meeting at 12. Okay. And then we have a CPES meeting at 2. Right. And then I've got my project here. Okay. So Friday comes, I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to be doing here? So then I can zoom into the whole project, or I could just click here and I can go down to my steps and I can quickly see under actions what my next action is. and it's this one. Gather all loose paper from the desk into one stack. Okay, that's my next action. I can easily do that. Now that looked like a lot of steps to get down there, so I'm going to show you a little trick you can do, especially for those of you that already have the soarboard. You'll like this. You can go ahead and expand actions and then hit the star at the top right. And now that shows up over here on your left panel. So you can quickly get to your actions from there. So let's say you're back here at the main soarboard and you want to see what your actions are. You can just click right here and it goes right to the actions. So that's a shortcut. But again, the point is that you clearly see what your next thing is that you're going to do. And then let's say you've done that. We are going to copy the dot, the emoji, to the next one, and we are going to mark this one as complete so it disappears and goes away. Okay, it's still in the system. You could always go back and search for it, but if you have show completed off, it disappears. And I know, Barbara, you like to just complete yours and get them out of there so you don't see them again because you don't want the clutter. Sometimes I like to see what I've done, but Barbara's like, I don't want to see what I've done. I know I did it. It's gone.
Well, actually, I make a decision. There's a decision there because sometimes there's something that's so important. I want to make sure, because sometimes I wake up and I don't know if I did it or not. Did I think about doing it or did I actually do it? So if it's something that I think I might wonder, then I'll put completed, because I can do a search on completed and say, oh yeah, I really did do that. But if it's nothing that I care about, so that's where that's where the art. I mean, the reason that I love this so much is that it is so flexible to meet the style the way you want to work.
Yes, exactly. So if you're new to this concept of the soarboard, let me stop sharing and come back. If you're new to the concept, it may feel or seem overwhelming at first, but it truly simplifies things. Once you learn how to use it, it simplifies and it pulls together really everything and anything that you need to do in your life. I mean, we started using the platform that we use for it with Barbara, the file index for our paper finding system. We used it for, oh my goodness, 12 years, 13 years, just for that. And then we created this template, which you guys saw, that now just pulls it all together, and you can really you can manage your entire personal life and your business life and any other lives you have from that one dashboard. And the platform we use, I'll just go ahead and tell you, the platform we use is called Workflowy. And it looks so simple. It starts with one dot. Literally, when you sign up for an account, don't sign up if you're new, because we have a link. Message us, go to our website and click contact and ask for our link, because we can get you something special with it. But it starts with one dot on a page, yet it can house thousands of content. Somebody took the time to put the entire Bible, Old and New Testament, in Workflowy. So it can literally hold all of that. You can write books with it. You can do a bunch of different things with it. So we created our template called the soarboard using their platform, and it works beautifully to manage your life. So
and one of the things I just have to put in here, one of the things that has made such a dramatic difference for me, it's available on my phone.
Yeah.
So the fact that I can see now, I only look up. I don't work from my phone. I just look up information. But if I'm somewhere and I needed information or whatever, I can easily find it. And that has been such a godsend, because it's just so easy to let things drop if you don't have them. You can't change what you don't measure. And this gives you a way to measure everything and helps you decide. Clutter is supposed to be decisions. So this is a tool. One of our principles of PEI is half of any job is using the right
tool. Exactly. So, and what it does, let's talk for a few minutes. I want to make sure we cover these notes. There's so much to say about this. I don't want to miss anything, but how SOAR keeps projects alive. Again, I have created project plans a zillion times in my life, and then they just kind of fizzle away. So the one of the ways is that the project is placed on the timeline. And then when you've completed that task, you look at your calendar. It doesn't replace your calendar. You can look at your calendar And you say, when's the next most likely date that I can work on this project again? And you drag that whole project to that next date, and you keep moving it forward, and those tasks are getting done. You don't have to think about what you need to do. It's right there for you, already mapped out. Okay. One action is clearly marked as next. And then when it's completed, the next action is identified, and the project moves forward on the timeline. I can't tell you how key that is, that the project moves forward on the timeline. So just remember, there's always exactly one next action in motion. Okay. And so why does this create calm and momentum? Because there's no redeciding, there's no restarting, there's no wondering what comes next or where's my list. And so, we see that the relief comes from seeing the whole picture, right, Barbara? Because you talk about mental clutter a lot. You want to comment on that briefly?
Well, all physical and digital clutter evolves from our mental clutter. So this is a way to measure your mental clutter, their procrastination, and all the things that are keeping you from moving forward on that project.
Yep. And the brain relaxes. Our brain relaxes when those decisions are already made. We don't have to think about them. So you might be thinking of some projects, could be your taxes, because that's coming up. Paper piles, digital cleanup, any project that you keep, quote, working on, but never finishing. I would encourage you to try this. Try this concept of mapping out the whole project. You can use in fact, I'll get with Ed's, and we'll put in the description, we'll put some links to some resources for you. We've done podcasts on those 5 steps, the 5-step productive environment process. So we can list those for you and just show you how you can get some help putting this together. So, ask yourself, what project of yours would move if the tasks stopped living in separate places? Like if they were all part of the project, would you, what project would you have that you could move forward, that would be exciting to move forward? Okay. So again, we try to always say, our tagline is accomplish your work and enjoy your life. It's not do more work. It's not accomplish your work so you can do more work. So it's not in our world, productivity is not about just doing more. But it's getting, accomplishing your work so you can enjoy your life moving forward. So it's about keeping work together, and context again leads to completion. So when projects stay visible and tasks stick together, progress becomes inevitable. So again, I will say there are so many project management tools out there. There are task management systems. There are wonderful systems. There's some that are my favorite that I just could go down rabbit holes and spend hours in, but that's not what we want. We don't want to be spending so much time in the tool itself. We want to actually be putting what we need in there and using the tool to actually do the work and get things done. So I know that's a lot to cover in a 30-minute podcast. And Barbara, I'll give you closing thoughts, but I wanted to just give you guys something to think about. If you've been struggling with getting things done, you've got some projects and they fall by the wayside, putting them together, housing them together, and using a timeline such as in the SOAR board that can help you move that project forward so you feel good about yourself, and you can then move on to the next one. So Barbara, your thoughts as we wrap up?
Well, I think one question you can ask yourself is, what is one project that would make the biggest difference in my ability to accomplish my work and enjoy my life? And that's a critical one. So then you could use the phrase we use, capture quest. Just sit down and say, okay, what are all the things that are involved in and don't get down into the weeds, but get some of the major things involved in that, and then use this technique. It could change your life forever. It really would. And not only your life, but the lives of others around you. Because, part of the reason we feel so passionate about accomplish your work and enjoy your life is that it's so you can enable others to do the same. Because this is a dark world. There are so many people so overwhelmed and frustrated. And there's nothing, I remember the first time someone said to me, I make lists of things I've already done because it's so much fun to check them off.
Lists of lists.
Yeah.
And
40 years ago. It's like, oh yeah, I understand that. So this is
yeah.
a tool that will help you put some light into your darkness as it relates to project management.
Yes. Amen. And lastly, I want to just give you 2 websites that you can go to learn more. So one is going to be lesscluttermorelife.com. That also happens to be the name of one of Barbara's books, lesscluttermorelife.com. And there's a short video there where we actually introduce the SOAR board and teach you some of our methodology. So if you're new, we encourage you to go there. And then also, Eds, could you share the one for our SOAR into Action workshop? So if you're like, I want that SOAR board, I need that. There's a workshop that you can enroll in, and you'll get the SOAR board, and we teach you how to set it up and teach you the basics of how to use it. So that is our SOAR into Action workshop, and we'll let her get that. I didn't give her that before we started, so now she's putting it together. Sorry, SOAR into Action. We'll give her a second to while she's getting there. It is. Okay. Workshop.productiveenvironment.com. Okay, that'll get you there. Workshop.productiveenvironment.com, and that will get you, I hope that's the right one, that will get you to the SOAR into Action workshop. So check that out. And if you have any questions, you can just go to our main website, productiveenvironment.com, and click contact, and that comes directly to me. So if you want to reach out and ask a question or share something, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you all.
Don't be afraid to ask. You know, the Bible says you do not have because you do not ask. Well, that's true of God, but it's also true of PEI. We love your questions, because if you're asking a question, we either have the information or we can point you to somebody who does.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So thanks again for joining us. Please comment. Let us know you were here wherever you're watching from, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. Make a comment so we know that you watched, and you can even ask a question there if you like. So, all right, everybody, we go live every Tuesday, most Tuesdays at noon Eastern. So like this video, share this video with someone else that needs to see it, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss an episode. Thanks, guys. See you soon.